friend?
Angie, if you don't mind, how old is he?
How about none of your business?
Njue, how do you know about my situation, You've just described it perfectly.
Rather, what part was perfect? You having a kid or a wife?
Why are you poking your nose where it is not supposed to be poking? Let him ask for himself.
Yes, and the number you gave me goes to voicemail all the time. You know, I was thinking that maybe you called me.
Guys, you cannot lift this glass. She's probably coming here.
Assisia, get out of my way. You are wasting my time, boy.
hours Central African Time. Good afternoon and welcome to KBC Lunchtime News on this 13th day of October 2021. Hope you're having a fruitful day. Time for the news. Remember, your feedback, suggestions, comment, or even where you are watching us from is of value to us. Kindly hit me up at Njue at KBC Channel 1. Straight to the news. My sign language interpreter for this afternoon is Lensa Odingo. President Uhuru Kenyatta has pledged to preserve the territorial integrity of Kenya in light of the judgment by the International Court of Justice on the maritime border dispute with Somalia. President Kenyatta criticized the decision firmly, stating that Kenya rejects it in totality and will not recognize the court's findings.
Kenya wishes to indicate that it rejects in totality and does not recognize the findings in the decision.
In a 4-page statement issued on Tuesday after the decision by the High Court, which ruled largely in favor of Somalia in its dispute with Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta noted that the decision will strain relations between the two nations.
This decision is, in the circumstances, a zero-sum game, which will only strain the relations between our two countries.
The head of state saying Kenya rejects the outcome and the decision raises a fundamental question on the respect of sovereignty and consent of states to international judicial processes.
The decision embodies a perpetuation of the ICJ's jurisdictional overreach and raises a fundamental question on the respect of the sovereignty and consent of states to international judicial processes, and international tribunals have jurisdiction only to the extent of the consent by a state.
President Kenyatta said the decision would also reverse the gains made in the region and could aggravate the peace and security situation in the Horn of Africa.
It will also reverse the social, political, and economic gains and potentially aggravate the peace and security situation in the fragile Horn of Africa region.
He, however, said Kenya will pursue the matter through the institutions of Africa Union, such as the African Union Border Program.
Nonetheless, Kenya remains committed to a diplomatic solution to the current impasse. We'll resolve this matter through institutions of the African Union, such as the African Union Border Program and its peace and security architecture, in addition to other bilateral arrangements.
A section of leaders from Ma community are calling for peaceful campaigns ahead of the 2022 general elections. The leaders want politicians to restrain from making hate speech and incitement to avoid the country sliding back to what was witnessed in the year 2007.
Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Labour, Patrick Ntutu, is leading other Ma leaders into a campaign to preach peace and harmony among locals ahead of the 2022 general election.
Tupee hao wandugu zetu waje waombe kura, lakini ikifika wakati ya kura ni nyinyi wananchi mtaamua. Na hatungependa kusikia mambo ya uchaguzi ati watu wanakuja kupambana kwa sababu ya kutaka kuleta uhasama katika jamii zetu.
Tufanye siasa kwa amani, tufanye kwa ushirikiano mzuri. Hata itakapofika wakati wa vyama, tutaenda vyama vyetu kwa amani na kwa upendo.
The leaders want all aspirants in the next year's election to maintain decorum as they traverse the country seeking votes.
Tunaunga mkono sana mambo ya handshake kwa sababu ndio imeweza kuleta amani, makabila yote wakae pamoja kama mandugu.
Narok County Assembly Speaker Ngoidila Olelankas reminded the locals that the area will only progress development-wise if they coexisted peacefully. The leaders spoke in a Maasai traditional event commonly known as Emanyata at Malelo Ward in Narok South Sub-County on Tuesday. Purity Museo, Lunchtime News.
Milimani Primary School in Funyula constituency, Busia County, is set to benefit from 5 classrooms courtesy of the Constituency Development Fund and the Anglican Church of Kenya. Speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony, Funyula Member of Parliament Oudo Mundenyo said construction of the classroom block will include toilets at a cost of 6 million shillings. Reverend Juta Bone of the ACK said the new classrooms will boost enrollment of learners in the institution. Moving on, the Public Service Commission has launched a program to train 400 mentors to help interns in the civil service acquire more than work experience during the 1-year internship. The mentors are expected to impact on other interns and other civil service values and life skills needed to be wholesome workers. But before that, let's head on now to Kakuma, where our reporter Nancy Okware is on standby to give us a feel of the back to school. Nancy, if you can hear me, kindly bring us up to speed on the latest.
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Ben Troy Njue, back at the broadcasting house. Indeed, we are coming to you live from Lorengo Primary School in Tarach sub-location that is in Kakuma area of Turkana County. We are just getting a feel of how the situation is, given that yesterday the school started opening up, but we're just trying to look at how the situation is like on the ground in the rural areas. Remember that this is part of the ASAL locations, and we're just taking a look at how different things are from the towns and the urban centers where most of the schools have reported a huge number of students are going back to school for the second term. But right here in Kakuma, we will be speaking to the head teacher where the turnout has been reported to be low. And right now we are in a class which is grade 1, grade 2 and grade 3. As you can see, the students are just few. The numbers are few, and we're going to speak why or what could be the reason for the low turnout. So Mwalimu, thank you so much for joining us. You are live on KBC Channel 1. Let's talk about the turnout right now in this school.
In school, low as compared to other times, and this is due to the challenges we are facing, especially Lorengo is found in a rural setup and where the culture plays a great role.
Apologies for that. We seem to be having a network connection problem there from Turkana, where our reporter Nancy Okware is there interviewing the head of school. Let's first of all listen in.
The challenge.
We'll be heading back to Nancy Okware when we have a clear signal on the same. Okay, my director informs me that the signal is back. Let's listen in.
The main challenges we are facing when it comes to opening of the
A little bit later, let's proceed with the news, where the Anglican Church of Kenya has called for the strengthening of judicial institutions to ensure timely and prompt delivery of justice. Archbishop Reverend Jackson Ole Sapit, who spoke during the Peace Symposium in Kisumu, faulted the institution for being the weak link in the country's pursuit of peace and tranquility as next year's general elections beckons.
During a peace symposium that brought together stakeholders including the Anglican Church of Kenya, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, among others, to chart a path to sustainable peace ahead of next year's election, the church challenged judicial institutions to step up capacity to deliver in their mandates. Archbishop Reverend Jackson Ole Sapit said failure by judicial institutions to address historical injustices only threatens peaceful coexistence in the country.
Good governance also ensures that justice is served to all citizens irrespective of their class, race, gender, religion, or age in a timely manner. For justice delayed is justice denied.
Sapit also called on the government to ensure equitable governance to eliminate the feeling of marginalization among certain communities.
We want to see and challenge the national managers of natural resources to ensure that every part of this country is developed and a bigger cake is baked that can be shareable by all of us, because when we share equally, we will not fight over it.
He urged Kenyans to shun leaders who preach hatred and instead partake in initiatives that promote peaceful coexistence.
We specifically picked that phrase, constructive engagement, deliberately. Constructive engagement is opposed to lecturing to someone or calling out or firefighting. Constructive engagement draws us to dialogue, to reason together, to commune around a table and understand issues, to listen to one another, to discover the depth of our humanity and how we are called to relate together.
On his part, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission Chair, Reverend Samuel Kobia, urged the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to be firm and transparent in its endeavors to create trust among stakeholders.
It is because of the lack of trust of IEBC that the elections results were disputed, because they didn't trust that what was being declared was actually the truth.
We must design an electoral system in our nation such that we really live up to the tenets of democracy, which was not just a process, political process for its sake, but for a certain outcome. An outcome that convinces people that those they put in power are by the will of the people, demonstrated by the results of the election, properly run by competent bodies, where, as we celebrate the victory by the majority, those who lose, or the minority, accept the results as legitimate.
Moving on, religious leaders are questioning the low voter turnout in the ongoing voter registration exercise. The National Council of Churches of Kenya, Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, Kenya Catholic Conference of Bishops, and the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya say civic and voter education should be done to enable the youth understand their constitutional right in the 2022 general polls.
numbers recorded in the ongoing mass voter registration exercise is worrying religious leaders.
We appeal to all Kenyans and youths to register as voters so as to exercise their constitutional right to vote in good leaders.
The clergy from National Council of Churches of Kenya, Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, Kenya Catholic Conference of Bishops, and Evangelical Alliance of Kenya, who met in Kericho, want civic and voter education undertaken and youth mobilized to register.
We as religious bodies in Kericho County are committed to actively mobilize and guide youths to constructively play their patriotic and civic duty in ensuring peaceful election on the same.
The Kericho CDRG is concerned about the high levels of corruption, the rising cost of living, high taxation, collapsed business, high rate of unemployment that have overburdened Kenyans and other emerging challenges.
In the 30-day mass voter registration exercise, IEBC targets 6 million, with 4 million being youth. As of Sunday, the Commission had registered slightly over 200,000, falling short of its 1.5 million target per week. Kamche Menza for Lunchtime News.
Moving on, political leaders from Luo Nyanza have welcomed the newly found unity between the region and Mount Kenya ahead of the 2022 elections. Prominent businessman Fred Rabongo lauded President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM party leader Raila Odinga for spearheading the union, saying it's good for the peaceful coexistence between the two communities.
The newfound working relationship between opposition leader Raila Odinga and Mount Kenya is receiving accolades. Just a day after meeting youth from Mount Kenya, a group of Nyanza businessmen said the move is a positive sign to end the bitter divide between Luo Nyanza and Mount Kenya region. Led by Fred Rabongo, the group says the union couldn't have come at a better time. Rabongo, who will be seeking the Nairobi gubernatorial seat in 2022, challenged the youth to turn up in large numbers and register as voters.
Muchukue identity cards kwanza, muchukue kura because hii ni nchi yenu. And if you don't participate, because I know most youth think that they should not vote. If you don't participate in the voter process, then you are effectively voting a wrong person by not voting.
He said the handshake has achieved its purpose of enhancing peace and coexistence in the country.
Handshake between President Uhuru and Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga has brought peace, and as a businessman, we know that business thrives in a peaceful environment, and this has worked very well for the business community.
That a section of members of the Samburu community in Orondonyiro area of Isiolo and the minority Walda community of Moyale sub-county have decried shortcomings in the office of the community land registration, which they say are derailing the titling process. The leaders now want the national government to deploy a substantive community land registrar in Isiolo County and another one in Marsabit County.
I hope it will capture.
The two sets of communities spearheading the land registration process from the Oldonyiro and Walda communities in Marsabit County have expressed their dissatisfaction of the office of the community land registrar in Isiolo County. Led by their chair, Nicholas Lesokoyo, and Guyo Halkano, the communities lamented the land registration process is dragging owing to the absence of a substantive registrar at the Isiolo Lands Office.
Kidogo sisi kama jamii ya Oldonyiro tuko na kero. Tangu tuanze hii kasi hatujaona community land registrar wa Isiolo ambaye anasimamia Isiolo pamoja na Marsabit. Na kilio yetu kubwa leo ni hiyo.
Registrar hayuko. Registry hakuna. Tunaambiwa kama hakuna registry, hakuna mahali pa kuweka hizi cheti, hizi stakabadhi zote, basi tunaambiwa registrar hawezi kuwa huko.
The two communities are seeking to register their community land in line with the Community Land Act of 2016 in order to enable them have control of the resources available in the ancestral lands.
Wanasema devolution. It's about bringing resources, it's about bringing services closer to people.
Kini tunaomba serikali ishukue hatua mara moja, tunataka hiyo ofisa aje hapa ndio hiyo process ianze.
Currently, the land is held in trust by the respective county governments of Isiolo and Marsabit, which limits their influence on how the land is utilized. For Lunchtime News, I'm Nisi Imano Okoth.
At about 18 minutes past the hour, we are taking our first break, but don't go away, we still have more news. But before we do that, let me appreciate Edwin Rono Salma. You're watching live from Salma Kaptumo in Nandi. Victor Otieno, you're also tuned in, and also Modi tuned in to KBC News at 1 from the CBD. And we also have superb Curtis Arsenal. You're watching from Thika. Let's have that break. We have more news.
Kupata sikiza tune hii ya kibeti, bonyeza *811*962#.
Aje umefanya vizuri sana kunifikia hii simu sasa. Nimekuwa na stress kutoka asubuhi kabisa. Na ni huyu mtu ambaye alikuwa anapatiana majina ya vitu. Kwani hakutufikiria sisi watu wa Eastern Ukambani? Ni nani alisema ati wife kwa Kiswahili ni mke? Na akasema ati handbaka. Hii inabebwa na mwanamke handbaka. Ati kwa Kiswahili ni kibeti. Huko kwetu mke
ili kupata sikiza tune hiyo ya kibeti, bonyeza *811*962#. *811*962#.
We take it on at the right time.
Honorable Musalia Mudavadi.
The Honorable Mutahi Kagwe.
Chief Justice Martha Karambuko.
This is KBC, is the voice of Kenya.
Asking the right questions.
I don't know how it made you feel as speaker who is presiding over a house where members can be compromised with 10,000 shillings.
We keep our guests.
Also, I thought this is it. My end has come.
If really we want an end of this pandemic, we must fight.
Our goal, to tell it as it is for the benefit of our viewer.
And I'm sure we will have good discussions.
All right.
That will make probably your viewers.
A live interview on KBC TV, Chief of Defense Forces General Robert Kibosha.
Jaji mkuu kwa mara ya kwanza katika mahojiano yake ya kipekee na runinga ya KBC Channel 1
and 2 TV stations covering over 90% of the entire country. The message always gets home. KBC, the home of on-air TV interviews.
Me. So I can do anything I want. I can have you.
Already thinking about killing me. Though I may have escaped this time, I can't escape forever.
Tell the commissioners to make an appeal and accuse Wang Zhen of abusing his power.
I just hope you can get married to Prince Cheng without any issues.
But you've got to be careful. Stay in the Empress's palace.
Let's be moving some babies around. They're all...
Welcome back and thanks for keeping it KBC. Let's proceed. Let's revisit our earlier story where the Public Service Commission has launched a program to train 400 mentors to help interns in the civil service acquire more than just work experience during their one-year internship. The mentors are expected to impart on other interns in the civil service values and life skills needed to become wholesome workers.
The Public Service Internship Program Commissioner, Dr. Mary Muyandi, says the mentorship training program is a call to those trained to go out of their way to ensure interns end up as well-rounded workers capable of taking up the role of steering the country in the future.
The internship program has immense value, not only to the individual intern, but also to the country. At the individual level, it is an opportunity for the intern to gain work experience and enhance their employability chances.
Dr. Muyandi observed that since the program started 3 years ago, it has seen 5,600 beneficiaries. 3,000 interns are in the current cohort, and another 3,000, including those living with disabilities, are currently being recruited.
I want you to be the model, that you are the teacher, they are the model walking, that they want to pick a lot from you. The dress, the manners, the everything that there is. The motivator, but above all, like Joanne put it, I want you to be their friend.
She urged mentors and mentees to be open-minded to encourage a mutually beneficial environment at the workplace.
The government cannot do it alone. We must have other players, particularly the world of money, to help give these young people a chance to prove their worth.
We know that we cannot leave the responsibility of employment to the government entirely. This gap can only be bridged through strategic partnerships between the public and the private sector. And that is why we are happy to be sponsors for this program.
She made the remarks at the launch of the mentorship program at the Kenya School of Government in Embu County.
Let's now shift focus to matters politics, where Bungoma County Governor Wycliffe Wangamati has downplayed the strength of the One Kenya Alliance, saying that the 2022 presidential race is between Deputy President William Ruto and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Wangamati argues that the call for unity, by a section of leadership from the region is a mere excuse and waste of time for the people of Bungoma County.
Leaders from Bungoma County have alleged the 2022 presidential contest is a two-horse race. Governor Wycliffe Wangamati says that the One Kenya Alliance should wake up and smell the coffee.
Nimeona siasa ya Nairobi vile inaenda. Kati ya mafarasi wawili ya William Samoei Ruto na Raila Amolo Odinga. Siasa saizi imebadilika.
Wangamati has accused area Senator Moses Wetangula of selling false hope to the Luhya community.
Kama kaunti ya Bungoma, hasa mimi kama gavana wa jimbo la Bungoma, niko mstari ya mbele. Tutatembea hapa tuhakikishe watu wetu wamepata nafasi ya kuwa kwa register ya IEBC. Mambo ya maendeleo hapa Bungoma tunachapa kazi.
Meanwhile, the Rift Valley Council of Elders has accused the Mount Kenya Foundation of attempting to impose leaders on Kenyans. The elders have taken issue with the two meetings convened by the foundation, where they invited Raila Odinga and the One Kenya Alliance.
Uzi ni wa wananchi wa Kenya. Mtu yeyote yule ambaye watamchagua awaongoze, huyo ndo ataongoza nchi. Tuna katiba ambayo inalinda mtu na mali yake.
The council secretary Gilbert Kabaze said the actions portray personal interest of members of the foundation, adding that the common interest is in their businesses.
Away from politics, the chairperson of the Disability Fund, Professor Julia Ojambo, has delivered equipment worth millions of shillings to empower persons with disability in Kikuyu, Kiambu County. More than 10,000 people living with disability in the county have applied to be empowered through the kitty, and it's only 3,000 people who will benefit. Professor Ojambo is now urging the county government to waive all business fees and taxes to persons with disability to assist them to start business in a conducive environment.
Mlemavu wote awe anapewa kila kitu kutoka kwa serikali, awe anajisaidia. Utaweza kuwa umeanguka ama uko mgonjwa na una pesa ya kujitibu.
National Fund for Disabled of Kenya inatenga shilingi milioni 60 million kwa kununua vifaa ambavyo vinatuwezesha kufikia kila mmoja ambaye anahitaji na ameomba, na tumehakikisha kupitia kwa ofisi ya commissioner na social services pia na assistant chief kutoka mahali anatoka ya kwamba anahitaji.
Elsewhere, a widow in Nakuru County has come to the rescue of a baby left outside her gate. Julia Auma says the baby was found on Wednesday morning by her children. According to Auma, the baby, who is about 4 months old, may have been abandoned due to disability. Her neighbors at London Estate near Narok Town say she will need assistance to take care of the baby as they wait the next move with the Children's Department.
Mama na kuna kamtoto pale kwa gate. Kuja nikapata kamtoto. Na katoto ni kama nikalemavu. Nikamlemavu. Sasa siwezi nikajua ni nani alikuja kukatupa.
Watoto walikuja wakatuita, kasema mtoto amepatikana hapo kwa gate. Kukuja tukapata mtoto. Mtoto ni mlemavu. Na mwenye alimpata hana uwezo wa kulea mtoto. Ni vibarua tu ya kuosha manguo kwenda shamba. Hivyo tu. Na kuna watoto wenye anasomesha. Sasa hii ni ngumu.
Mtu asitupe mtoto wake. Mtoto ambaye ana ulemavu ni baraka kutoka kwa Mungu. Kwa sababu kesho yake ujui mtoto atakuja kuwa nini. Anaweza kuwa president akakusaidia.
Kuwa mlemavu si kusema huyo mtoto hawezi kuja baadaye kuwa baraka kwake ama msaada kwake. Juu tunaona watu wengi walemavu wameshinda watu wako na mikono na miguu, wanafanya mambo makubwa.
We surely hope that that kid will get the help that she deserves. Elsewhere, a section of mission hospitals in Kisii County have benefited from a donation of personal protective equipment as the fight against COVID-19 continues. It is the second time the medical facilities are receiving the PPEs, which include surgical gowns, gloves, face masks, and boots.
Equity Bank Foundation, through a public-private partnership initiative, donated personal protective equipment to Christian Marina, Tabaka and Nyachwa SDA health facilities in Kisii County. Robinson Mirieri, Equity Kisii Bank manager, said the support is meant to encourage more residents to visit health centers for medical checkup and vaccination, even as they adhere to coronavirus prevention protocols.
At Equity Bank, we believe in private partnerships. And this is one of the partnerships that we hold dear, and we will continue supporting any agency that will be fighting the pandemic that has hit us.
4.2% of the population in Kisii County has been vaccinated against COVID-19.
Moving on, secondary school girls at the Suguta Marmar Rescue Center have benefited from a donation of food and other items courtesy of the Samburu County Children Office in partnership with UNICEF. Teras Pauline Wanjiru, sister in charge of the rescue center, said the support will come in handy for the girls as they go back to school for the second term. Services in the Samburu County, Jane Kabiru, called on well-wishers and other organizations to support vulnerable children whose parents have been affected by drought.
They have brought us food, they have brought us items which the girls need as they go back to school. We are able to send our girls to school well equipped now to begin the new term.
We wish that we could have many more looking into the area of rescue centers where we have our children, because now we are on the drought issue and Samburu has been identified as an area where there is drought. Our people, our children are being affected by drought, and it is our responsibility, those who are able, to assist each other and to mind about each other so that we don't lose any of us.
And matatu operators plying the Kitengela Namanga route are decrying slow business occasioned by an ongoing wrangle between 4 SACCOs operating on the road. They are concerned that if the row is not resolved, they will lose their livelihood and commuters in KAJIADO County and beyond will suffer.
Wrangles among matatu SACCOs operating the Kitengela Namanga route have adversely affected business in the matatu sector and other small-scale businesses operating within the bus terminus in KAJIADO County.
Unapata kuna watu wanagonga abiria ndio waingie kwa gari lao na wengine bado wanasukumwa.
The 4 SACCOs which operate on the road have in the recent past been engaging in an ending business war, with all defying the set rules of picking and dropping off passengers. This has led to passengers scrambling for matatus, resulting in unhealthy competition. At the same time, vendors aching a living from food vending says business is no longer sustainable since the matatus operate outside the bus terminus.
Watu wa matatu ndio tunategemea kusema ukweli. Kama mimi nauza chakula, nashinda nikirudisha chakula kila siku kwa sababu watu wa matatu hawafanyi kazi.
Recently, the matter got out of hand, leading to grounding of all matatus, with SACCOs engaging in counter accusations.
In business, expect power bills to drop by a huge margin by December of this year. Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i has urged a steering committee formed to address the management and energy crisis at the Kenya Power and Lighting Company to deal with all the issues facing the energy sector in the country. The government has classified Kenya Power as a special state project in a bid to streamline the power pricing and distribution mechanism at the utility firm.
All stakeholders are on board, and the ministry will take the lead in making sure that this implementation is done timeously and the effect of it are felt by the Republic of Kenya citizens.
In the coming days, you will see significant changes in the sector, significant changes in the cost of fuel. You know, we are targeting significant changes in the cost of power and streamlining and bringing about greater efficiency in the manner in which these organizations work. It becomes necessary to do this so that, as we say, we address our strategic objectives in developing our country and ensuring that we address the challenges such as the cost of living, cost of doing business around and stuff like that.
Certainly some good news for Kenyans. Elsewhere, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya has said that the government will continue conducting complete forensic audit in all KTDA-owned factories. The comprehensive investigation will be used to determine why tea prices were dropping in the previous years despite international prices remaining constant.
The tea subsector in Kenya supports over 6 million Kenyans directly and indirectly. According to the recently released Economic Survey of Kenya, tea contributed more than 122 billion to the Kenyan economy in the year 2020, making it one of the largest contributors to the country's economy. Speaking while visiting tea factories in Kiambu County, Munya has said the reform agenda in the tea subsector was in top gears and farmers are receiving better payments. Munya has urged KTDA to cut down management costs in order to ensure more money reaches farmers in the tea production business.
Sheria inafuatwa, mkulima anyanyaswi. Sheria inafuatwa na KTDA, sheria inafuatwa na stakeholder wengine, ihakikishe sheria imetekelezwa vema.
In July this year, the government set the minimum reserve price at the Mombasa tea auction, which has improved the average tea prices for the smallholder by about 40%.
Lengo ya mabadiliko hii ni kuongeza pesa wapi? Kwa mfuko ya mkulima. Ndio mkulima pia aweze kujisondelesha kwa mahitaji yake. Ndiye aendelee kulima.
This has resulted in an increase in revenue to the tea smallholder grower by 172 million Kenyan shillings within a period of 1 month, according to the Ministry of Agriculture.
Tumekuwa na reforms ambazo tumekuwa tukifuatilia akiwa na lengo ya kumaliza umaskini wa wakulima na kufuatilia ile directive ilipeanwa na rais wetu. Kienda mbele tumeongeza bei through the reserve price na tuna matarajio pesa sasa imeenda juu. Rate sasa iko beyond $3 na tunatarajia next year tutakuwa na pesa ambazo zitafurahisha wakulima.
KTDA Chairman David Ichoho has said the tea agency has embarked on bringing down production costs in all its factories in a bid to help farmers get more money regulations. Reporting for Lunchtime News, my name is Hibak Said.
Players in the energy sector have come up with various approaches to help women in rural areas with cost-effective ways to fuel their homes and farms. KAJIADO Kenya has taken this initiative by working with small-scale farmers in Nyanza region in a bid to reduce their carbon footprint and endorse sustainable energy.
Women in Nyanza region have begun embracing affordable and clean energy. Jane Jan Onyango is among the few women who have taken it upon themselves to embrace technology and use clean energy. At her small farm located in the outskirts of Awendo town, Jane, together with her 6 farm hands, produces biogas energy for their domestic use.
So far, the home biogas is working. We don't have complaint. The whole unit comes, including the cooking unit.
She runs most of her home equipment on solar energy and an installed biogas digester, which helps her cut the cost of energy used at the homestead. On average, they spend 3,000 Kenyan shillings on her makeshift cooking gas monthly, with the cost significantly reducing as time progresses. At the farm, nothing goes to waste. All the animals and plant wastes are fed into the biogas digester, where they produce fuel and liquid fertilizer and can serve them for 7 cooking hours.
If we have the excess fertilizer, we can sell it out. Either we sell it to our own environment within the circle of my influence. I have farmers here who are also doing the same thing that I'm doing. We have fish ponds, we can put them in there. And the rest we sell to the public.
Reporting for Lunchtime News, my name is Hibak Said.
Further afield, Apple's shares dropped following reports it could slash its iPhone 13 production targets due to the ongoing global computer chip shortage. The electronic giant had expected to make 90 million iPhones in the last quarter of 2021. Here are the details of these and other stories from other parts of the world.
Semiconductor manufacturers have been down 1% as sources are struggling to deliver enough chips to Apple in time. Millions of products across multiple industries today relying on computer chips to run, and semiconductor makers' plants are currently working flat out to meet demand. Smartphone makers like Apple, some of the biggest chip purchasers in the world, have been severely impacted, but also other sectors like the car industry and the makers of video game consoles. Meanwhile, the UK's largest commercial port says supply chain crisis has caused a logjam of shipping containers. The port of Felixstowe, which handles 36% of UK's freight container traffic, blamed the busy pre-Christmas period and haulage shortages. Shipping giant Maersk made it known that it is rerouting some of its biggest ships away from the port of Felixstowe to other European ports where smaller vessels will be used for UK deliveries. This was after some of its largest 20,000 container ships were waiting outside the port for between 4 to 7 days to other European ports where smaller vessels will be used for UK deliveries. Finally, the maker of China's best-selling brand of soy sauce is raising prices in the latest sign of inflationary pressures in this world's second-largest economy. Foshan Haitian Flavoring and Food Company will increase the prices of its range of products by as much as 7% later this month. The Shanghai-listed company pointed to higher cost of materials, transport and energy for the decision. The commodity prices have been surging as the world emerges from the pandemic. Price increases will apply to soy sauce, oyster sauce and other sauce products from the 25th of October this year.
Closer home, Zimbabwe's biggest business group has warned that local currency could collapse. The arrest of scores of foreign currency traders of the past few weeks alleged to be involved in black market USA dollar trading is the first step the country has taken towards curbing the virus. Here are the details of this and others from across the continent.
Zimbabwe's currency is in the danger of collapsing as companies resort to the US dollar for transactions. The country's main business group is going through a crackdown on black market currency trading. The government threatened to suspend the licenses of businesses using black market rates to price their goods and services. The Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries cautioned the government against criminalizing firms and traders. Meanwhile, the South African rand gained against the dollar as analysts were pricing in an interest rate increase by the central bank in the markets. The South African Reserve Bank has kept rates on hold at its previous 7 monetary policy committees, but at its monetary policy review, it highlighted inflation risks. In addition to fully pricing in a 25 basis point rate rise in the market, the country is already showing significant rate hikes next year. Finally, people in Nigeria have turned to cryptocurrency to conduct business, send payments and guard their savings. The Central Bank of Nigeria warned the country's bank that it would face severe regulatory sanctions for working with cryptocurrencies. The bank froze business licenses because of using crypto, and with users also exchanging crypto for the naira and other currencies with the people they connect with via WhatsApp and Telegram. According to analysts, cryptocurrency use in Nigeria may even be higher than what the numbers suggest.
Time to play now, and Kenya amateur boxing team Hit Squad has stepped up preparations for the AIBA World Boxing Championship that will be held in Serbia. The championship will commence on 24th of this month to the 6th of next month.
Angalia kwamba sahi AIBA imetoa zawadi ya tatu ya gold, silver na bronze, na ni pesa ambazo ni pesa mingi, na hilo ni jambo ambalo limepatia vijana wetu motisha juu sana, kwamba mtu akienda anaweza badilisha maisha yake.
Matayarisho kikweli tumejiandaa vizuri mpaka sasa hivi, na pia hadi kutakapofikia mahali tunaelekea huko, na imani itakuwa tuko vizuri kwa sababu tumeshajiandaa vilivyo na kuweza kujirekebisha kati ya yale makosa ambayo yalikuwepo hapo awali.
News just in is that Kenya's 5,000 meters women representatives to the Tokyo Olympics, Agnes Tirop, has been found dead in her house in Iten, Elgeyo Marakwet County. She had stab wounds in the abdomen. We are following up on that story and definitely will bring you much more in our subsequent bulletin. Thank you so much for keeping me company. My name is Ben Troy Njue. Lensa Odingo has been our sign language interpreter for this bulletin. Have a good one.